Happy Sunday. Welcome into the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. Hope you're all having a great weekend and you're enjoying your Sundays. Coming up, NFL Draft wrapped up last Saturday. So 8 days from that time frame, I looked at this Niners roster, looked at the draft class, took a look back at what the Niners did in NFL free agency, scanned through some of the Niners UDFAs, thought about this coaching staff, and I put together a list of Niners winners and losers following the NFL draft. So let's hop right in, and we're going to start off glass half full, positive front with some winners here. And let's start off with Brock Purdy. Why is Brock Purdy a winner coming out of the draft, going into this offseason? And by the way, training camp at the end of July is going to be here before we know it. Purdy gets two more weapons to make the NFL's number one overall offense from last year even better, even deeper, even more dangerous going into 2024. And when you talk about rookie Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, and running back Isaac Guerendo getting drafted as the third player as a part of this talking point, San Francisco got more dynamic. They got a lot faster this offseason as well. And I think that going into the draft, that was a point of emphasis for head coach Kyle Shanahan. He looked at how the Niners struggled against two of the best defenses in the NFL last year. Baltimore Ravens on Christmas, Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and he said, we need to get more dynamic. We need to spread the field a little bit more. We need to get faster. We need to bring in wide receivers in Pearsall, Cowing, who have good footwork, who are really good route runners, who can win against press man, and of course find the soft spots against zone defenses. And these two wide receivers specifically give Brock Purdy more weapons here, more options. They dominate and live in the middle area of the field. And what's Purdy's biggest strength, arguably? It's targeting that middle third. It's targeting the field in between the numbers, in between the hashes. Ricky Pearsall, good route runner, good footwork, can go up and get it, can run a variety of routes. You can use him on bubble screens, jet sweeps, finding creative ways to get him the football, but he's more of a slot guy. And for Purdy, he throws with such great timing, accuracy, anticipation. He processes so well, and Kyle Shanahan, as we've seen with Jimmy Garoppolo, now that we see with Brock Purdy, runs his offense through the air with a lot of it running through the middle area of the field. Pearsall, Cowing live there. And in Jacob Cowing, I think people should start to get really excited about the player. Reminds me a little bit of a quicker Tyler Lockett. He's a mismatch nightmare. He's 5'8", 5'9", runs a 4.3 40-yard dash, has been highly productive, a touchdown machine. And him and Ricky Pearsall are great route runners to the point where they can win a lot of matchups. And they're just security blankets for Purdy, who now has those two guys as depth, and we'll see what their roles are in 2024. We know that Kyle Shanahan is very hard on young players, especially wide receivers. Maybe it's hard for them to see the field, but that's okay because you still have Brandon Ayuk, you still have Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey. So I look at Brock Purdy as being a clear winner here because the Niners as an organization are surrounding him with a lot of great complementary pieces. And then another winner here, George Kittle, Cam Latu, Braden Willis. The three tight ends are winners because the Niners did not draft the tight end. Now, Kyle Shanahan said going into the draft and after the draft, they wanted to draft the tight end. It didn't work out that way. And now Cam Latu and Willis will have shots to seize the tight end 2 role. And for Kittle, I thought going into this draft, it was important for the Niners to maybe get a future George Kittle replacement who's cheaper, who you can start to develop right now. I think it was a mistake not doing that. Would have loved Jared Wiley out of TCU who went to the Kansas City Chiefs to come to San Francisco, learn under George Kittle, just like Wiley is now going to learn under Travis Kelce, and you can still find a way to utilize 2 tight end sets within this offense, which makes you more multiple with how you already run it under Shanahan, with the bevy of weapons at wide receiver, and then you trot out a couple of really good tight ends, and this offense becomes extremely multiple and very difficult to stop. Didn't work out that way for San Francisco. So Kittle, obviously best tight end in the NFL last year, first team All-Pro, once again going to run it back as the starter. But now Latu, Braden Willis, you got drafted last year. You have an opportunity here to seize it, especially Latu, who got hurt, put on injured reserve, probably wouldn't have made the roster if he was healthy. Was terrible in the preseason with drop after drop after drop. Now you can earn that playing time. Colton McKiviitz. Some of the same things of what I just said for tight end can be applied for Colton McKiviitz as well. No serious competition as of right now for the starting right tackle job. And McKiviitz is a player, gave up 11 sacks last year, 45 pressures according to Pro Football Focus, really struggled in moments, was not good in the run game. I think part of this is the Niners looking at the offensive line and saying, look, continuity across the board from Trent Williams to Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, probably John Feliciano, Colton McKiviitz, not a bad thing for an offense, which was one of the best in the NFL. I thought you needed to upgrade at right tackle. Kingsley Suamataia was there. I thought that's a player that you could have gone with. Roger Rosengarten, another option that if you traded up for Suamataia or Roger Rosengarten, that's just at the very least competition for Colton McKiviitz. Now, you really just don't have it. And he's going to have an opportunity once again to lock down that starting right tackle job. I know some people are going to talk about Dominick Puni out of Kansas, who played left tackle, has played right tackle, has played along the interior of the offensive line throughout his college career. He does have shorter arms, so does McKiviitz. Shorter wingspan, so does McKiviitz. But I think the Niners want to try him off on the interior first. But if he can challenge Colton McKiviitz down the road in training camp, great. You also have to think about Jarrett Kington out of USC, late-round pick, who was drafted along the interior, who played tackle, but also has the shorter arms, a shorter wingspan. And the Niners as an organization, when they drafted tackles, when they brought in tackles, historically they have had longer arms, longer wingspans. I know Joe Staley had shorter arms, so it can be done. It's not the end-all, be-all, but that's kind of their strategy at that right tackle spot. But McKiviitz, right now, starting right tackle. So for him, it's a win coming out of the draft because they didn't get his replacement. Ricky Pearsall, talked about him earlier, but in the pre-draft process, he had said, I wanted to go to the Niners. You don't have to go to a rebuilding team with crappy quarterback play. You're also not going to have a ton of pressure on you right from the jump because you're playing alongside, as of right now, Ayuk and Debo, and he's going to have plenty of open opportunities. I think that he could really contribute as a rookie because he's seasoned, he's experienced, his game translates well to be able to play as a rookie, like Cooper Kupp was able to do, like Puka Nacua was able to do in this division. When you're a good route runner and a route running technician and you have good, reliable hands, you can be trusted. And then when you block away from the play, when you're not involved in it, but you're still blocking and contributing, that's everything that Kyle Shanahan wants. And he got his wish to go to the Niners, and I think he's going to have opportunities. Last winner here, Drake Jackson. Niners also, like tight end, did not draft a single defensive lineman in this draft. I thought that was somewhat surprising. And the Niners in free agency signed Leonard Floyd, signed Yetur Gross-Matos, who I think can play outside, inside. Floyd strictly is an edge rusher, but they didn't draft the defensive end. They didn't draft the defensive tackle. So Drake Jackson going into year 3, you have shown flashes of potential. You were a second-round pick in the 2022 draft. Up to this point, you've been a bust. People have been worried about your work ethic, your lack of dedication. You've gotten injured. You've been pretty much benched. The Niners traded for Chase Young because they didn't trust you. You had to get that knee surgery. It is put up or shut up time for Drake Jackson. He's going to have those opportunities. Back up to Nick Bosa, Yetur Gross-Matos, Leonard Floyd on the other side. The Niners are going to need Drake Jackson, because you need as many pass rushers as you can get, and the Niners did not draft one. As for the losers for San Francisco here, Ambry Thomas might not make the roster after the selection of Renardo Green in the second round, but also all of the moves that the Niners made in free agency at cornerback after benching Ambry Thomas in the Super Bowl when they trotted out a washed Logan Ryan to play the slot and moved Amador Lenore to the outside. And it's Renardo Green in the second round, but it's Isaac Yiadom, who you signed in free agency. Rock Ya-Sin, Chase Lucas. You already have Charvarius Ward and Lenore. That's a pretty deep cornerback room for San Francisco, which is a good problem to have, because if a couple of injuries happen there and you're tapping into some bad depth, it's an issue. But Ambry Thomas, Samuel Womack, Darrell Luter Jr., with all of those other corners on this team who are vying to make it onto the 53, Ambry Thomas might be on the outside looking in as a former third-rounder. Samuel Womack, Darrell Luter Jr., you're going to have to come to play. Rock Ya-Sin, Isaac Yiadom, Chase Lucas, it's not going to be easy. That is a stealth competition at the cornerback spot going into training camp. Elijah Mitchell, loser. Could have RB2 reps taken away from him after the selection of Isaac Guerendo, in which the Niners traded up to get him, and then signing Cody Schrader as a UDFA. Elijah Mitchell's a good player. This isn't a knock on Elijah Mitchell, but he's been injured a lot. And because of all of the injuries that have racked up, last year I thought athletically looked a step slow, looked a little bit banged up. And if Guerendo pops 4.3 speed, 6'3", 220, Cody Schrader ran a 4.6, undrafted free agent, but led the SEC in rushing last year and fights for every single yard and has the toughness and kind of that lack of size, but keeps his legs churning like a Blake Corum. Christian McCaffrey is going to be your RB1. Guerendo could unseat Mitchell for RB2. If they like Cody Schrader, they might take the young, durable, cheap player over the injured player in Elijah Mitchell. Then you still have Jordan Mason, who you could also chalk up as a loser because is he ever going to get opportunities within this offense? Jake Brendel, Dominick Puni, Jarrett Kington, Trevor Keegan, the UDFA out of Michigan, they're going to push you for center snaps. Jake Brendel was a Pro Bowl alternate 2 years ago. This past year, I think he's just too small. I thought he was a journeyman for a reason. To sign him to an extension and give him $5 million a year, I thought there were better options out there. You know, when you go from Alex Mack to Jake Brendel, there has been a drop-off there. And I think the Niners are looking at Jake Brendel and saying, let's see what Dominick Puni, let's see what Jarrett Kington, let's see what Trevor Keegan can do. Now, Puni, Kingston, more guards, I think, with hybrid tackle versatility than center, but they can certainly play center with the size and athletic traits that they do have. Look out for Trevor Keegan, UDFA, Michigan, started every game last year, was a first-team All-Big Ten player. Not a lot of losses on tape. Physical, athletic, can climb on pull blocks, on screens. Jim Harbaugh does such a great job of scouting offensive line talent. Trevor Keegan could push for center snaps right from the jump because he's nasty too. Talanoa Hufanga, his future with the Niners, a little bit murky. After San Francisco brought in Malik Mustafa, he's coming off the injury, and they looked to bring in a safety all throughout free agency this offseason and could still look to do that now that these free agent pickups don't count against the compensatory pick formula. Danny Gray, hot seat. Look, this Niners team now at wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing. Those are 5 wide receivers right there who are going to make the team. And then after that, you have Chris Conley, who is a really good special teams player who might make the roster because he has special teams ability. You have Trent Taylor, who has punt return ability. You have Ronnie Bell, who I thought played very, very well in the preseason last year, who also has return ability, although he needs to get better there. And Danny Gray is kind of on the outside looking in. You're a former third-round pick. You ran a 4.3. You have one highlight to your name so far in your career. It's catching that long ball from Trey Lance in the preseason. We're a long way removed from that. You haven't been able to stay healthy. You haven't even been able to show that you could be trusted by head coach Kyle Shanahan. And now, Danny Gray, Trent Taylor. This just might be a matter of you being so deep at the wide receiver spot, you're just not going to make the squad. Ronnie Bell, like if he doesn't make this team, I'm not going to be shocked. Because again, you have your top 5 right now. Ayuk, Deebo, Jennings, Pearsall, Cowing. If you let go of a Cowing after you drafted him in the 4th round, that's a problem. And this is a guy who played a lot at the college level. So like Pearsall, experienced player, refined route runner, very seasoned with his approach to the game. It's hard to let those guys go. And you also need a wide receiver or 2 who has special teams ability. Pearsall, Cowing, they can return kicks or punts. So that's why I look at Gray, who can't really do that. Trent Taylor, who can but can't be a wideout. And Ronnie Bell, honestly, as players who might be on the outside looking in for what is one of the deepest rosters in the NFL. It's not to say that they can't have a role on an NFL team, but when you have a team that's this deep, this talented as San Francisco is, sometimes you get cut by the numbers game. So Niners, winners and losers following the NFL draft. Hope you all enjoyed the segment. Hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. We're going to continue to hit you with coverage every single day right here on the Niners Report.